This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, and verse 12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect. This is your brother Dawah from the Men of Valor camp here in Greenville, South Carolina, coming back with another video on sincerity and in truth. Lord willing, it can be edifying. We got some breaking news here, all right, developing. And, all right, we're about to see a pivot. We about to see, things turn violent, okay? Getting right into it from zeroheads.com. Sniper attack kills 2 at ICE facility. Shooter dead on roof. It says a shooting at an ICE facility in Dallas left 2 detainees dead and 1 critically wounded earlier, according to NBC News, citing an ICE spokesperson. No ICE agents were harmed in the sniper attack, though the suspected gunman died by a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem confirmed. All right, let's go down. It says around 7 o'clock local time, the suspected shooter opened fire on Dallas ICE facility from an adjacent building in what some local media outlets described as a sniper attack. So as you can see it right here. All right. So apparently no ICE workers or whatever, ICE officers were wounded. It says police said the investigation is ongoing and media briefing will occur later today. The motive remains unclear. Vice President J.D. Vance wrote on X, the obsessive attack on law enforcement, particularly ICE, must stop. I'm praying for everyone hurt in this attack and for their families. But, according to them, nobody got injured. So, interesting. Journalist Andy Go noted this is the second shooting attack on an ICE facility in Dallas. Right. This is why this is important. The other one, an ambush attack in July, was allegedly committed by a North Texas Antifa cell. You remember, they just Trump is deeming Antifa a domestic terrorist organization. All right. So they're building this narrative. Local media in Texas reports 3 people were critically wounded at an immigration and customs enforcement facility in the Dallas metro area early Wednesday. Sources tell WFAA that a possible sniper or multiple shooters on a nearby roof targeted 3 people who were wounded at the ICE facility on 8101 North Stemmons, Slovakia. Freeway in Dallas, just off Interstate 35E. Sources confirmed to the local outlet that the shooter was found dead on the roof of a nearby immigration attorney's office. 3 people were injured at the Dallas ICE facility on Wednesday morning, and police are searching for a possible sniper on multiple shooters. Police sources tell WFAA. So this is still developing. All right, they haven't gotten all their facts straight. However, here we go. It says this shooting comes shortly after. This is what's important about this. This shooting comes shortly after the Trump administration designated the leftist group Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization and declared war on leftist NGOs sowing chaos. Democrats and their allied leftist groups have fueled toxic and harmful rhetoric against federal agents, whether it's ICE or border control, as well as everyday Americans, calling everyone they disagree with Nazis or fascists, which only normalizes assassination culture. The wave of violence and even terrorism emanating from the Democratic Party is a serious threat that must be addressed. So they're now waging war on the left. Okay. And who has been associated with the left for the last 50, 60 years? Jake. All right. So they're also making Jake the face of, they're lumping him in, which means what? Eventually, they're going to lump the prophets into this, man. All right. We see how they're building up that persecution. All right. We see why this devil is known as the accuser of thy brethren. He's setting the tone, and he's not doing it as directly. All right. But he's setting it up nonetheless. All right. With these ICE facility attacks and whatnot, because what is ICE set up to do? They're deporting the Northern Kingdom, and they've also been sent into Chicago all right, to clean up crime and to wage war against the gangs and stuff. So they're using ICE as like a privatized military, and they're gonna be able to use these different situations like this to come up against Jake, man. It says the wave of violence and even terrorism, see, they throwing that T word around, emanating from the Democratic Party is a serious threat that must be addressed. Given multiple ICE attacks by radical leftists in the state and elsewhere this year, the question now is whether Antifa or an affiliated group carried out this latest attack. No updates on the shooter have been released so far, other than confirmation of a self-inflicted gunshot wound pattern of violence. So, interesting. So we know these are the times, once again, this is Matthew chapter 24 and verse 12, because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. So we're in a time where, violence is just on an uprising, man. It's on an uptick, if you will. Whether it's controlled or whether it's authentic, either way, they're setting the tone for things to get bloody and deadly. All right, we're in the time of 2 Esdras chapter 15, which we'll go ahead and grab that. We're in these times, man. All right, the accuser of the brethren, he's making his case against us. All right, this is 2 Esdras chapter 15. I'll start at verse 1, but I'll jump down. It says, behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord. Right, the Lord puts it in the mind of the prophets of old to write these things down. Like in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, write the vision and make it plain upon tables. For at the end it shall speak and not lie. So yeah, we've been speaking on these things, but now we're coming into a time where it's clearly speaking. The America that you knew is no longer. All right, war is being waged against its own citizens, man. It's you versus them now. All right. And we're not going to stand up carnally against this devil. We don't have any might in our hands. The Lord said, fear not, thou worm Jacob, and ye men of Israel. I will help thee. All right. So we put our trust in the Lord. And when they try to come up against us, the Lord is going to lift up that standard. Verse 2, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. All right. And we're seeing how the things that were written aforetime, are coming to pass, because the words of the Lord did not go out void. Verse 3, fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. And let's jump down to verse 14. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. We bring this out so much when it comes to end time prophecy, especially in America and civil war. All right, Yahushua said that, these people will rise up against each other. Isaiah the 19th chapter saying that the Lord will set the Egyptian against the Egyptian. This is modern day spiritual Egypt. So we see that it's being set up. We're seeing a civil war being set up between the left and the right, so to speak. All right, and Jake going to get caught in the middle of it. All right, because in Revelations, it says that it had two horns like a lamb, but spake as a dragon. So you have the two parties that seem like they're in opposition. But guess what? They, the left and the right weren't in opposition with. They weren't in opposition with going and pledging their allegiance to the state of Israel. All right, but they're creating, but they're divisive on this side. Interesting. All right, verse 14 again, it says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So you're going to see these different, civilians, so to speak. And eventually, these guys are, even the guys in MAGA, they're going to turn on Trump, man. But also, interesting enough, it seems like ICE has become the new Klan, because there's been a uptick in applications and whatnot. People, you got these Edomites trying to be ICE agents. Why? It gives them license to be able to come up against Jake, man. All right, which they already have that hatred in their heart, in their mind toward Jake. But now they have the legal way to go about doing it. All right, so-called legal. All right. So there's going to be a sedition among men. There's going to be a violent uprising, insurrection. That's where you get that movie Civil War. They're going to create their division. They're calling each other out on the left and the right. And then eventually, those swords are going to be, drawn. You know, like it says in the 15th chapter. The modern day sword is the gun. Verse 16 again, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Why? Because, these unwalled villages are eventually going to be militarized, and there's going to be checkpoints, martial law, warlike law is going to be ensued. Why? Because you have problem, reaction, solution. The problem is, the left, and these Mexicans and these blacks, and they need to be gotten rid of. All right, if you heard, some of that speech at the whole CK memorial or whatever on Sunday, you had Trump there. They was coming with this rhetoric that the left is a problem. When they say the left, they're lumping Jake in with that, man. So now they're about to come down with that great wrath, knowing that they have but a short time. Verse 18, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. All right, all that neighborly, brotherly shit is going to be out the window. Like we read in Matthew, because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. You got different psyops and shit going on, but you also have real violence that's taking place here in America. Verse 19 again, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. All right. So very interesting, days that we're in, nonetheless. All right. So I just wanted to report this. You got snipers on, and who's just casually, on the roof sniping shit, in front of an apartment building that's right in front of ICE. All right, I smell something fishy. All right, we keep our head on the swivel nowadays, man. The days are evil. All right, but nonetheless, things are happening. Okay, prophecy is moving. So just wanted to bring this out, Lord willing, is edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, for Kahak Kadash, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect. Till next time.